Good morning to you, John. And as you just mentioned, we do have an all-time intraday high, record high for the S&P 500. Now, on a year-to-date basis, lots of interesting names contributing to that. Apple and Microsoft, both up more than 40% on the year. Those are the top point contributors. In terms of the percentage climbers, we're looking at the semi-cap equipment names, both Lam Research and KLA-10 Core, both of those names, if you can believe it, up 94%. Lam Research, in fact, up more than 100%. So those are the top names really helping those all-time highs. As for some big movers on the morning, we're first looking at AT&T. Those shares are popping on a 3-year plan that wins the praise of Elliott Management. It calls for earnings numbers for 2022 to be above what the street had been calling for. It also is saying, they are saying no major M&A in the near future, and they're separating the chairman and CEO roles. Also popping, Spotify up nearly 9%. They put up a solid third quarter. Premium users rose, as did total users. They also raised the fiscal year monthly users view. There's a 5% bearish short interest there, so there could be a bit of a short squeeze. And then finally, returning to some of those big names, at least Microsoft, those shares, as you can see, up 3%. This is, they have won that vetted and coveted, I should say, Pentagon Cloud Services contract worth about $10 billion. Amazon had been expected to get it, and it's also thought that Amazon will challenge this only because it's thought that perhaps President Trump was involved in Microsoft winning it. Never a dull day, John.
Abigail, Doolittle, thank you very much. So much to get through this morning. There is your record high, 30.38 on the S&P 500, ahead of a big week for tech earnings. Let's bring in Bloomberg's Romaine Bostick, shall we? Hey, Romaine.
Hey, John. So, yeah, as you take a look at that record high, keep in mind we have 3 names, 2 days, 9% of the weighting of the S&P 500. That's when it comes to earnings. We want to keep an eye out on what's going to happen with Alphabet. Of course, that's the big G in the FANG, Apple as well. And then, of course, we also have to take a look at what's going to happen with Facebook. These are 3 names that have been sort of hit over the last couple of quarters with regards to the earnings picture. But optimism for all of those companies has been rising, particularly for Apple, of course, trading at record levels today. Keep in mind, a lot of the pessimistic forecasts that we had seen for Apple heading into this earnings season, those have been reversed. A lot of analysts starting to raise their price targets and raise their outlooks with regards to the earnings pictures there. I want you to take a look at the performance, though, of some of those names over the past few months, because over a 3-month basis, most of those companies, most of the FANG complex has actually underperformed the broader market. Apple really being the only exception, the only outlier, and most of those gains have really come only over the past 4 to 5 weeks if analysts have started to rethink their iPhone projections. But make no mistakes, these companies, these have led us higher through the entire bull market, and when you consider their weighting in the S&P 500, they're going to be a big determinant, John, of whether these record levels that we're seeing today, whether we close above those levels and whether we continue to move higher.